Hey guys, so welcome back to the YouTube channel. Now we haven't posted on YouTube for a long while, and I thought I would just open up with this sort of chit-chatting video just to fill you in on some things and to just talk about like the ideas moving forward with what we plan to do with the whole YouTube thing. So I was on a long trip to Europe recently, traveling, sort of like visiting family and just, sort of like a different lifestyle over there. And I noticed how terrible I felt just being out of routine. So, you know, not being able to eat the foods that I normally eat, not being able to train the way I normally train, just being surrounded by different people. I became so exhausting, and towards the end I was like, I just need to get home. I need to get back into my routine. I'm a creature of habit, so I just, I would prefer to do the same thing every single day, eat the same thing every single day, like sleep at the same time, and I sort of can't really function unless I'm doing that. But I do think it's important to sort of pull yourself out of your comfort zone and be adaptable and do things, out of routine from time to time, because that's what keeps things interesting and that's what keeps you adaptable as well. So having said that, once I returned, I decided to sort of get back into regular training, regular routine. And one of the things that I did, I said to myself, I have to do something uncomfortable every day, and that was going to a class. Sort of like a strength and conditioning, workout class, everything that I've always been against. So I hate those sort of places where you feel like you're just exercising or burning calories or going through the motions. But I thought, this gym had a pretty reputable sort of, name for itself. Like it was, hard training, athletes go there, people who value their training go there. So I was like, okay, I'll join. And lo and behold, I've been going every single day for now coming on to 3 weeks. And I plan to continue because I've found that it's really put me into a good routine. I get up in the morning, I watch the sunrise, I go straight there, and I feel really good. And I've started to implement things that I don't normally do, which is more cardiovascular training, more sort of HIIT workouts, so 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, things like that. Just things that I don't normally do. My practice is normally more so movement, awareness, quality, attention to detail, very slow, very sort of, just things that put me into sort of a meditative state with my practice. And I like to sort of use the opportunity to think, to grow my sort of brain in a way, because movement for me, it's a lot more about just, going to train mindlessly or whatever, pushing yourself past the limit or whatever. But the point of the moral of this story is that this sort of training, it's very linear. So it's very your squats, your deadlifts, your pull-ups, your sprints, your bikes, your rows, typical modified CrossFit style. And I am freaking stiff. You guys, even myself, very mobile, I'm always super open, I drop into the splits, when I wake up. I was like, what is going on in my body? And I thought to myself, okay, now I realized how people actually do feel, because I haven't felt like this in a long time. I used to obviously train like this back in the day when I was playing, professional sports, and it was all about going more, doing more, going further, sprinting, destroying yourself. And I never knew at the time what I was missing, what I know now when it comes to mobility, when it comes to full range of motion, when it comes to moving out of alignment, and now I realize, and I'm like, wow, so if I can actually feel like this after 3 weeks of doing this stuff, I can imagine how people feel who either don't train at all or who just train this style and neglect their mobility. And I also realized that the forms of training that I do now with my mobility and the way that I structure it, the exercises that I do, the creativity that I bring to it, it's, for me at least, I know I'm biased, but for me and for most of my clients that I work with, it's just a no-brainer. It's it just makes your body feel so much better, so lubricated, so open. And you go to a session and you come out not destroyed, not exhausted, but alive. Ready to tackle the day. And so now I've also started making sure that I'm going back to my own sort of training in addition to this. And as an example, I'll give you an example, split squats, right? So people train split squats just in a linear fashion, up and down, whereas, I get super creative with that. I do things where I pulse my back leg. I do things where I keep my front leg on more time under tension. I load it in different positions. I bend my spine in the split squat in different positions, right? And all of this stuff when you approach it like you would strength training, so with structure and progressive overload, does insane things for your body. Not only in terms of the way that it like builds muscle mass, body composition, joint health, strength, like you name it, it does it, but in really like unconventional ways. And I do wonder like where all of this sort of linear patterns did come from. You know, typically what we see in sport is non-linear patterns, right? So, you know, when you're sprinting for a ball or whatever, when you have to slide and hit that forehand, hit that backhand, when you have to tackle someone, wrestle someone. But, you know, outside of sport, athletes sort of, if they do any kind of strength and conditioning, if they do any fitness training, it's still very linear. Like it's still your sprints, it's still your jumps, it's still your like whatever, squats, deadlifts, and not very good form, mind you. You know, I remember when I was an athlete training with the top athletes at, you know, IMG academies and things like this, you know, these people were doing like half rep squats. They were doing like jump squats with, you know, 100 kilos of very terrible form. And I just go back and think like, where did all this information or misinformation actually originate from? And why don't people actually start to innovate the way they train, even for their athletes, even for their top athletes? And that's why I think mobility is crucial. And I always keep saying it doesn't matter if you're a couch potato, if you're a 65-year-old beginner, if you're at the peak level of your athletic performance. Mobility is crucial. You know, it develops such strong, resilient joints. It gives you such safety and security that you won't get injured. You know, I don't run anymore like I used to. I don't sprint. I don't like do any of that sort of sport-specific training. But I feel like I'm better at that when I do it than I was when I was chronically running and chronically, you know, pushing my body past its limits. So mobility really, guys, it's like now that I see it more and more, like it's just, I believe it through and through. It's like if you take care of that, and you know, it doesn't even take like long. Like the hardest part is to actually acquire it, spending dedicated, you know, focused time, measuring that progress, you know, being super hyper aware, hyper focused, prioritizing that, being obsessed with it. You know, a couple of months to a year, you guys will feel like a different person. And then you can put on maintenance mode. That's what I tell my clients. Take a whole year, take 6 months, put in that work. Like day in and day out, try to get better at the exercises that I'm giving you, and you'll see in 1 year, you can put on maintenance mode. And the things that you acquire, the ranges of motion that you acquire, that can be your new normal. You don't never have to do splits. You don't have to do any crazy acrobatic movements. You don't have to do one handstands. That's like cool stuff. That's like the icing on the cake. You have to feel bloody resilient in your own body every single day, 24/7. You have to wake up with no aches, pains, limitations. Like no person, no body should, you know, wake up in pain, should experience pain. It shouldn't be accepted as normal. And I see a lot of people, I encounter people on a daily basis, they laugh about it. Like they laugh about the fact that they can't touch their toes. They laugh about the fact that they're so stiff. Like it's not a laughing matter. I recently went on a breakfast show here in Australia to do a segment on mobility. And you know, they approached it as a joke. That people can't touch their toes, they should stretch, they should get limber. And I'm over here going, hey, give me more airtime. I want to speak about this. I want to tell you that this is no laughing matter. This is actually a life or death sort of, you know, issue. And it is. Because people as they age, you know, lack of mobility leads to injuries, leads to falls, leads to breaking your hips, breaking your joints. And then what? Like you become immobile, you can't take care of yourself as you age, you can't carry your own shopping bags. You can't be a good parent. You can't be an example to your kids. Like this is no laughing matter, and you can change it so easily just by devoting some time and being actually aware of the fact that you've become sedentary, that you've accepted the fact that you're in this situation feeling stiff, sore, injured and broken. You're accepting the fact that you're getting old. Like you're not getting old. Come on guys, like, you know, 50, 60, 70, that is not old. You have 80-year-old people in Eastern countries still like working in the paddocks, working in the gardens, like doing house chores, carrying potatoes. Like, yeah, you're not freaking old. And you have another 40 years ahead of you. So what kind of life do you want to live? And that's why I'm so passionate about this movement. It's a non-negotiable for everyone. It doesn't matter if it's minimum 15 minutes a day, that's what you do. But do it every day. Prioritize it, enjoy it, be present with it. and actually do not accept the fact that you're feeling this way. Do not accept it, and don't find it funny, most of all. Do something about it, and you can change. Like, I work with clients that, come with every injury under the sun. I work with complete beginners, I work with professional athletes, right? And the difference between the successful people, the ones who do succeed, the ones who do get results, and the ones who don't, is the mindset, right? So they come in, there's people that come into my program expecting miracles within 4 months. And if they don't get it, program was a waste of their time and money, they're complaining, they're not happy. But then there's people who come in here who've been training with me for like 2 years. They understand the long-term plan, okay? And they understand the benefits that it gives them that they can't actually articulate or see visually right now. But it's the way they wake up, it's the way they feel, it's their confidence, right? It's the longer term thing that they see out there in the horizon. It's what they're training for. So they can be an elite level 80-year-old. And I think that that's the difference, right? So expectations set aside, you guys might have been neglecting your bodies for 10, 15 years, or actually not giving it the medicine that it deserves. So you cannot expect miracles within a couple of months. But any step that you take towards achieving better mobility, better range of motion, feeling better in your own body through movement is a step in the right direction. So yeah, this sort of topic came about, as I felt this stiffness creeping up on me, and I was like, hold on a second. I got away from this type of training, this linear movements, this sort of kill yourself, destroy yourself. Whilst it's nice from time to time in limited quantities, I'm going back to my training, thank you very much. And I'm going back to feeling resilient, incredible, bulletproof every single day of my life, and being able to drop into the splits every single day of my life. And I think, it's easy to get complacent, it's easy to get bored. Most important thing is for you to find yourself someone who can guide you, find yourself a mentor, find yourself a community, find yourself someone who can teach you the right approach towards mobility and movement. So, forget this stretching, forget these physios, forget these chiros. You have to take things into your own hands. And only you can do that. Only movement will help you. I guarantee you that. And even if you start with my top 5 things, like I talk about these 5 things all the time. My top 5 things are just squatting, so passive squatting all day and every day, accumulating time throughout the day, 30 minutes. Hanging, passive hanging, accumulating time throughout the day. I would start with 5 minutes. Single leg balance drills or single leg strength. Most of us just train bilaterally, and that causes a lot of imbalances. So if we go back to training unilateral movements, single leg squats, single leg deadlifts, various lunges in different sort of patterns, that's amazing for your stability, for your balance, for your leg strength, for your overall development. And then we have handstand work. So any kind of skill work, really. Skills train your brain, they develop neuroplasticity, they keep your brain young and healthy. So training for skill is another great element that you must incorporate into your training. It's going to keep your training fun and interesting as well. So handstand splits, back bends, all that sort of stuff, and progressions of it. Regressions of it, so don't jump straight into a handstand. Obviously, as you build towards that, you're going to improve your mobility, you're going to improve your proprioception, your balance, your joint strength, all of it. And then finally, locomotive patterns. So crawling patterns, animalistic movements, rolling on the floor, things that we rarely ever do anymore. And that comes into play, as you age, you have to sit down, stand up, pick things up. You don't have to use your hands to help you stand up from a chair. And it's sort of like connecting with the ground, super important things we have lost in this society. So those 5 elements, are crucial. You can implement them into your daily life wherever you are, at home. You don't need a gym, you don't need equipment, you don't need anything. You just need your body. And those 5 things anybody can start doing. And that's gonna, give you so many benefits and so much improvements in your overall mobility, your movement, your development. And you're gonna find yourself doing things, over time that you never expected yourself to do. So it's really cool. Start that. You can find a lot of stuff on my social media, on my Instagram, on the YouTube. You can find my movement snacks that I often post about. It's like 5 or 10 minute routines in a squat where you move your whole body. I also have the academy, the Athletes Academy, where you guys can join, where you can sort of have your workouts of the day. I do have programs available as well for beginners, for athletes, for joints. and one-to-one coaching as well. So I have a lot of options for you depending on what you guys want to do with your training and your mobility. But everything out there is free, information is free. So if you want to change, seek it out. That's what I did when I first started on this journey. I sought out mentors, I sought out teachers, I went traveling, I went studying, I learned from the best, I collected information, I practiced it, I applied it, I refined it, and now I'm sharing it with thousands of people worldwide. So it's quite an honor. I hope you guys take value from this stuff, and I hope you do implement movement into your daily life, and I really hope that you can understand the bigger picture of movement and why it is so important to you. So yeah, get squatting, get moving, do your daily 5s, the non-negotiables. And this was sort of just a little video. I plan to do a lot more explaining to you guys how to incorporate these different exercises and routines and things like that into your daily life, into your schedules, as well as more philosophical talk about how to move, how to think, how to feel like an athlete, how anyone can do it no matter what stage of life you're at, with some simple principles and some simple applications that you can do into your daily habits. You can really transform your life, the way you feel on a daily basis. So that's the aim with this whole channel. And yeah, consistency. Consistency with training and consistency with filming YouTube videos as well. That's the goal. Chat to you guys soon.